Good morning, folks. Good morning. So good to see all of you this morning. It's a beautiful day. It's a good day to be out, good day to come to church. We are so happy you are here with us this morning. I'm happy to see all of your faces and the rest of you. Put your faces too. I am joined this morning by Beth Hammer, who will be our worship associate and who will be participating in the sermonish part of the service today. We are happy to have her with us. I met Beth when she was on the selection committee that worked to find me. So it was good to meet her then. And we'll be talking about gratitude today. We have a special announcement this week from Mark Anderson. Mark, if you wouldn't mind. Absolutely.
Good morning. I'm Mark Anderson. I'm going to read the names of a few organizations, and as I read them, I want you to think about something that might have in common. Planet Forward Farms, Point of Pride, Harris County Drug Court Foundation, Citizens Climate Education Third Coast. That's quite a variety of charities with a variety of points of view, but they're all past recipients of the Emerson Share the Plate program. Now take a moment to think about the organizations that you contribute your time, talent, and treasure to, and picture them receiving congregational support from a month's plate donations. I'm on the Emerson Outreach Committee, along with Ruth Walensky, I think she's here in the back, and Janet Dawson, are you here today? I guess not. We're more than halfway through our campaign to get nominations for the next 12 months of Share the Plate programs. It's up to you to let us know who to consider for support from our congregation. There are only 2 weeks left until Sunday, February 11th to get your nominations in, so it's time to act. The easiest way is to go to the Emerson website and bring up the Share the Plate page from the full menu. The selection criteria are there, along with a link to an online nomination form. Alternatively, if you prefer pen and paper, forms are available in the gathering place. So go on, nominate your favorite charity, and we can all support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. This is a very important thing we do, where we decide how we are going to put our face forward by spending our money in the community. It's very important, and it's a very democratic way that we do it, which is a very Unitarian Universalist thing. And if you're interested in how we govern ourselves, today after church is our congregational meeting where the congregation will be asked, I think it's 4 questions. Please plan on attending if you're a member. If you're not a member and you're interested in seeing how we govern ourselves, because in Unitarian Universalist churches, the good news is we govern ourselves. The bad news is we have to govern ourselves, right? There's no bishop telling us what to do, despite every now and then that being a very attractive option. We don't have that option. So we vote together and we decide together how we're going to be. And this today, after services, we'll be electing a new board, and we will be approving the budget and a couple other things. So it would be great for you to come and vote and participate in that democratic process. It's very important. As a result of the congregational meeting being after services, the Lunch Bunch has suspended operations for the week. The Lunch Bunch is a group where you can voluntarily go out and have lunch with groups of people. We just pick a place proximate to here. We do this most weeks, but this week we are not doing it so that you can come here. We will have pizza. Is it pizza? We will have pizza for you to, so you can have a little bit later lunch. And that's all this afternoon. It's very important. If you're a visitor, we welcome you to come to the congregational meeting. Judy, I have my glasses on. That's Judy, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
You have to be a member for 90 days.
You have to be a member for 90 days to be able to vote. We'll let you know if you can vote or not. but it'd be great to have you, and it is an important part of what we do here. Lunch bunch is suspended. If you are a visitor, please come just to see how we are together. And if you are a visitor and would like for us to know more about you, there's a yellow card in your pews. Please feel free, Craig's holding it up, please feel free to fill it in, and we'll put you on our mailing list so you know what is going on here. And now I welcome Artem to bring us into the formal part of our service.
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that we may journey together and catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our own chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong, and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of those who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As As Elena lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own. This morning, and for the month of January, our chalice words are from Mary Oliver. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without passing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join us, their purposes to ours, in loving spirit and of right relationship. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself in life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. It is
important that we acknowledge that our history is a shared history and a harmful one at times. Our congregation's buildings are situated on the home of the Karankawa and the Atakapa people for at least 2,000 years before European settlers arrived, and they very nearly brought about their end. May we recognize, uplift, and support Indigenous voices and communities in our work as a congregation. Each time we are gathered, we hear words from one of our 6 sources, and people ask me, why do you bring other people's words into the service? Why not just stick with words from one particular source, like the hymnal or a Bible or whatever? And the reason for that is the technical term is revelation is not sealed. Have you ever heard that term before? Revelation is not sealed. We may be revealing the same thing over and over again, but when you hear it a different way, see it a different way, it brings a new sort of truth to you, a new way of looking maybe at the same truth. That's why we include the words of so many people when we meet. And today's words come from a book called How Your Mind Can Heal Your Body, which is a recent book, 2008, by a gentleman by the name of David Hamilton. David Hamilton was, for years, a pharmaceutical researcher, and then he completed his PhD in organic chemistry. I don't even know what that is. Fine. He left the industry, the pharmaceutical industry, to educate people on how they can harness their mind and emotions to improve their mental health. So here's a quote from this book, and that Beth brought to my attention, and I found it very, very helpful to understand the message today. He says, a friend once told me that gratitude changed his life in 30 days. He was depressed at the time, and he had been for a while. One day he decided to try a simple exercise. Every day he would write down 50 things that he was grateful for. And he would try to go for a full month of doing this, 30 days. It was hard at first, but he managed to find 50 things. Sometimes it took him all day to find 50 things. He'd do it a bit in the morning and then go through his day, and then he would always have his list completed by the time he went to bed. As the days passed, it got easier and easier. After 2 weeks, he was feeling so much better that he was writing 75 things on his gratitude list. And by the end of the month, he was a different person by his own estimation. And funnily enough, I didn't write this, I didn't make up that word. Funnily enough, as is often the case, when we change from the inside, life seems to change on the outside. It wasn't long before he met the woman of his dreams and he got the job he'd always hoped for. End quote. So today and now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and minds centered here in this sacred place, we invite you to celebrate just a little more by singing a hymn with us. we sing this hymn. You may stand or you may stay seated, however you're comfortable, but please help us sing along. Our opening hymn is number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." Beautiful little song. I probably choose it too much, but I love that beautiful little song. Today we have a story that goes in the middle of our service right here, and it is a story called Ish. There's a picture of the book, and there's the author of the book with some of his characters on his shoulder. His name is Peter H. Reynolds, and the book is called Ish. It is a wonderful little book. It was written, it's not that old. It was written, well, it's a big secret when it was written. Okay. Ramon loved to draw. Anytime, anything, anywhere. There's a picture of him drawing on the potty. Would not recommend that, by the way. One day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother Leon leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawings look right, but they never did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. "I'm done," said Ramon. Marisol, his sister, was watching him. "What do you want?" he snapped. "I was watching you draw," she said. Ramon sneered. "I'm not drawing. Go away." Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. "Hey, come back with that," Ramon said. Ramon raced after Marisol up the hallway and into her room. He was about to yell, but he fell silent when he saw his drawings all covering his sister's wall in her bedroom. "This is one of my favorites," Marisol said, pointing. "That was supposed to be a vase of flowers," Ramon said, "but it doesn't look like one." "Well, it looks vase-ish," she exclaimed. "Vase-ish?" Ramon looked closer, and then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's wall and began to see them in a whole new way. "They do look ish," he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, looking at loose lines, quickly springing out without worrying what it looked like. Ramon once again drew and drew and drew the world around him, making an ish drawing feel wonderful. He filled his journals, tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. And that is the end of our story this morning. I now invite Beth to bring us into our offertory.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many other communities of faith. But our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others, because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to January's Share the Plate recipient, the Audrey Gale Hall Memorial Justice Fund, which is part of the Texas UU Justice Ministry. In the time that we shared with Audrey, she made a profound impact on the Emerson congregation. This fund supports scholarships and programs for racial justice, decarceration, and LGBTQIA+ rights and inclusion. Priority is given to the support of UU young adults doing justice work and trans and BIPOC organizers. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church. During the offering music, children who want to attend their RA classes may follow Linda Condit to their classrooms.
We've now arrived at the part of our service where we ask ourselves to take a deep breath and calm ourselves. I ask you to find a comfortable place to sit, wiggle in, get yourself feeling comfortable. Our meditation this week comes in the form of a responsive reading. We will complete the responsive reading, and then we will listen to some music. We will sing Spirit of Life, which one I think we all know by heart. You can stay seated during that part as we just sing that meditation together. This responsive reading was written in the mid-'70s by Reverend Eugene Pickett, who wrote it for Unitarian Universalists participating in one of the first abortion rights rallies in Washington, D.C. Reverend Pickett was president of our Unitarian Universalist Association from 1979 to 1995. He died in his home on Cape Cod just 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. Please respond We give thanks this day. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day.
Fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. We give thanks this day.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and its achievements.
We give thanks this day. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. We give thanks this day.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, and for understanding of views not shared. We give thanks this day.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. We give thanks this day.
For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and to choose. We give thanks this day.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. We give thanks this day. The words for our second reading today come from the 2017 book, Science and Spiritual Practices by Rupert Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake is a biologist, an author, and fellow at the Institute of Noetic Sciences in Petaluma, California, and the Schumacher College in Devon, England. Are people grateful because they are happy? Or are people happy because they are grateful? Positive psychologists have done experiments to try and find out. In one kind of test, participants were divided into 3 random groups. In one group, people were asked to briefly describe 5 things they were grateful for the previous week. In another group, people were asked to describe 5 hassles from the previous week. And in the third group, they were asked to describe 5 events that had affected them in the previous group. The exercises were continued for 10 weeks. Participants in the grateful condition felt better about their life as a whole and were more optimistic about the future than participants in either of the other comparison conditions. In addition, those in the grateful condition reported fewer health complaints.
I like to think, I always say, Sometimes you're happy because you're smiling, but sometimes you're smiling. No, I said that backwards. Sometimes you're smiling because you're happy.
Yes.
But sometimes you're happy because you're smiling. Like you can fool yourself into happiness. You can fool yourself into being upset too. We all know how to do that, don't we? Yeah, that's the easy part. So I wanted to start with another quote that you sent from that same book of Science and Spiritual Practice. And what caught me about this quote was how it framed what we're doing here today as a religious practice, not a scientific practice, not an academic practice. And it's both, but it's all three. But so here's from the same book, Rupert Sheldrake. He says, "The practice of gratitude connects us to the grateful flow of giving and returning in the human realm, and also to the flow of life in non-human nature, in plants and animals and ecosystems and the earth and the solar system and our galaxy and the entire cosmos. If we are open to it, gratitude can connect us directly to the conscious source of all being, to the source of all consciousness, form, energy, which Jew, Christian, Muslim call God, and the Hindus call Satchitananda, the being, consciousness, bliss." So I thought that linked sort of what we're doing here today nicely to how it fits into a religious service. So how this got started was I noticed Beth and I met a long time before any of y'all met, because Beth was on the search committee that brought me here. So I met Beth months and months and months before I met any of y'all. And we were Facebook friends, and I noticed every day she posted on Facebook the daily gratitude. And I saw that, and I have a gratitude practice too, so it's linked us together in a way. And I said, "Beth, let's talk about this, because this is an important thing. I think it's important in my life, and I know it's important in your life too, right?" So I said, "Let's do this together," and here we are, right? Okay. So tell us a little bit about what was going on in your life when you started this practice.
So this is my 7th year of daily gratitudes, and for a number of years before that, life had just been difficult.
Can't hear.
Can we hear?
Yeah,
Sorry. Life had been difficult. My husband had medical things we were trying to get help for, and it took years. We had the whole oil industry downturn that had affected us, and most recently our youngest was facing a medical mystery we were trying to figure out, and kind of felt like a little pinball in a pinball machine, just getting bounced around and having no control over anything. So I thought, something has to change, and I decided gratitude, and it was a great start because I started on a January 1st, and by the end of that first month, we found out a new medical thing that our kiddo had, and that they would need heart surgery to repair a heart defect. So it was good timing.
it's a good time.
It
Yeah.
was good timing.
So why gratitude? You could have chosen anything. You could have chosen yoga. You could have chosen meditation, gardening, bike riding, heavy drinking. You could have lots of
Been
things
easy.
you could have chosen.
I wanted something really easy that wouldn't require time when we suddenly had to be at doctors, or life. I felt really stretched then, and so I was thinking of a daily gratitude. I could do it any time throughout the day if I needed. I had decided to post them because I wanted to hold myself accountable. So I needed to be able to hold myself accountable, and as I love gardening and all those things, I didn't want anything that I had to account for nice weather or other people, or having to get somewhere to do, or that would take a dedicated time like meditation, where if people needed me, I wouldn't be available.
Okay. So it fit into your life.
It fit into my life, just, yep.
Okay. So let's talk about some sort of functional aspects of it, some sort of boots on the ground details of how well, let me tell you that my gratitude practice is I have a rug, which I meant to bring with me, but I forgot. I have this little carpet that I put on the floor right when I get out of bed. So when I step out of bed, I have this little carpet on the floor that I bought at an auction at the UU Church, at my home congregation. I actually bought it way after I'd left, and I had them mail it to me. So it's this little carpet that I bought from a UU Church, and when I step out of bed in the morning, it's the first thing I touch, because it's right there. And it reminds me that to start the day, oriented in the right direction. So what are some practical things that you do with regard to your practice that are helpful?
I do mine at night. I started that way because the mornings were always very hectic, and I was afraid I would just put it off if I had to think of adding more time to think of a gratitude in the morning. So I started by closing out my day. At the time, I was the last person to go to bed, so everyone else would go to bed, and I, let the dog out and think, okay, now I get to find a gratitude. And it helped because I got to see the good things during the day, even if it was the day you find out your kiddo needs heart surgery. You're like, okay, but we have answers, right? And the right people were there to help us figure it out. Now, because I know I do it at the end of the day, when I wake up, I got into a point, I go, I wonder what's going to be my gratitude today. So I see them throughout the day, and I'm finding that I say, oh, I wonder if this is going to be the gratitude. This was a great conversation, or the sky is very pretty, whatever it is. So I see them all day.
And you're not really looking for them anymore. They're just presenting themselves to you.
Yeah, so about 3 months into that first year, I got a call from one of my siblings that our dad was in the hospital, and to come and see him right away. So I had to make arrangements. I had dropped off at the airport, and when I was getting my phone out really to turn it off to get onto the plane, my sister called and said, Dad wants to talk to you because he might not be here. Oh. And I thought, so I talked to him, which was nice, but I got on the plane and sat down and I thought, this is it, I'm done. Like, how am I going to find a gratitude today if what they say is happening and I'm going to get there and everybody's just going to be sad and I'm not going to see my dad? When I landed, there was a voice message from another sibling saying, Dad can't wait to see you, which felt good, and that their kiddo was picking me up. And so at the end of the day, of all that hecticness, I thought, oh, I need a daily gratitude. And I realized that there were so many from that day, right? That, not only did I get to see my dad and hug him and all of that, but the people around him who were helping him, right? And the fact that it still always gets me to this day that my dad wasn't a very religious person, but the chaplain who came with the palliative care team to talk to him was this big football player, and they talked football, which was one of my dad's favorite things, and it was just like, oh my gosh, which one do I choose? It was like I had this plethora of gratitudes on this really hard day. And then it became I need to do this every day for forever.
So it's sort of like, what I'm hearing you say is like, reality is what it is. But you control your response to reality.
Yes.
Even if reality totally sucks.
Yep, because it does at times.
You still get to control how you respond to reality.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've had hard days since that one.
Sure.
My dad passed a little bit later. And we've had other crises as a family and personally, and you get to respond. And I with the gratitudes, they start shining brighter. All of those good things that are happening that you would normally just allow to pass over and not even, think about.
So like the guy in the first reading, he went from struggling to find 50 to having to, now he's writing 75 in a day, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So they sort of show you themselves in a way.
Yes.
You don't even have to look for it. It's a change in the way you look at the world, right? Okay.
Oh, definitely.
So besides this change in the world thing, like it changed, because you literally change your world by changing the way you look at it. What other benefits can you, I mean, that's a pretty huge benefit. If that's the only one, that's fine.
Well, I think at times it's like a lifeline or something like a safety net. So sometimes you feel like the world has ripped off the rug from underneath you or something, and you're falling. This past year, our oldest got really sick, and so I was driving to see him in ICU in Austin, and on the way there was like, hey, look, the bluebonnets are out, right? Like it was like I can do this. I can drive, right, and I can get to him,
Right.
And thinking about everything I was grateful for on the way helps, do that ride. And part of it, so like when I got there, my siblings had actually arranged for a hotel room that I didn't know where it was, which was like less than a block from the hospital. And so I'd seen him and gone into the hotel, and I thought I should feel really alone. All right, I mean, I'm in a different city. My husband had to stay home. My kiddo was home. My son's in the ICU. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be. But I felt hugged every single time I walked into that hotel room, because it was like my siblings are all the way on the East Coast, but they're here. They're so it's like a lifeline. And so when life gets hard, it just helps.
Sure.
Rise above it.
Sure, it helps you, right,
Yeah.
it helps you rise above it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are certainly some days that finding gratitude was a challenge, right? Like,
It's funny, now the days I thought I really wanted at the beginning I thought, I just want a calm, normal day. Like, I don't want to be bounced around and wonder, and what the next surprises we're going to have. And now I find those calm days, those days I really thought I wanted, are the hardest days to have a bright gratitude.
because they're boring.
Because they're kind of boring,
Yeah,
right? It's kind of like, okay, so life went okay. This is all just calm today.
yeah. I haven't preached it here yet, but I have a sermon where I rewrite the 10 Commandments, and the worst sin for me is being boring. Yeah, never be boring.
Yeah.
And you can say that as a day,
Yeah.
right? Never be boring.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Imagine you're sitting in the pews, looking at you and listening to you. What would you be wanting to hear? Like what are like some very tangible, practical steps? So we went through say what, right?
Right.
Gratitude is important. We went through so what. It's helpful to me because this is how it's been helpful to me. And now you're at now what, okay? So I got you. I got that gratitude is important. I got that it'd be good for me and I should do something about it, good for the world. How do I start? Like, what do I do? Give me some ideas.
Well, I found I needed to hold myself accountable. So find a way you like to hold yourself accountable. I had seen things with gratitude jars, and I had where you write down a gratitude every day, you put it in a jar, and at the end of the year, you get to look back and see at everything you've been grateful for.
That's cool. So like, because months on, you might not remember.
Yeah.
You reach down into January, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I never heard of that. That's good.
Yeah. That's a fun thing. And then you can see all your gratitudes growing as your jar fills up.
Yeah, that's good. What else? Anything else?
Try it.
Just try it.
Just try it. Over the course of the year, some days it's been a color, right? The sky is pretty. Just try any single thing you like. Just be grateful that it's there. And find one thing every day.
One.
And see.
Not 50.
Don't start with 50. I think that, yeah. But try one. And tell somebody. We've done things in the past where, except right now life has gotten busy again with kiddos, where at the end of the day we'll say, what good thing happened today? Right? So that we can tell each other. So if you have someone you can talk to about it every day, that would be great. But it carves out a little bit more time than just,
Sure.
like, I post mine because I needed it to be available to me wherever I was. And I didn't want to have to even worry about finding a notebook and how my handwriting looked or anything that I would fuss about, right?
Right.
So I posted.
Plus, you're sharing it,
And then, yeah.
right? I would have never known you did this had you not posted on Facebook. That's how I found out. I think that's how I found out.
Yeah, it helps. I think one of the reasons I posted it was because when you're going through a lot of things, right, you tend to kind of circle the wagons in, and just take care of everything that needs to be taken care
It
of
comes
right
more
then.
about repelling the bad rather than
Yes.
attracting the good,
Yes,
right?
and so I wanted something that was more of a connection
Sure.
out, and so
Yeah.
like there's more out there than just all the struggles we're having right now.
So it sort of strikes me as, like what I'm thinking listening to you is, listen, you're free to think about anything you want to think about, right? But
Yeah.
if you're going to think about something, you can think about the awful things, or you
Right.
can think about the good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you ever, like when you say it that way, why would you ever think about the bad? Like,
I know.
I'm just going to choose to sit and dwell on all the bad things. But it's not a conscious choice that we make, but it seems like maybe that's the way our human nature or our reptile mind wants us to go. But it's so easy to just trip into that hole.
Yeah. Years ago, I'd read something about how our brains are wired to see danger.
Right.
Because you're out on the savannah, right? And,
Saber-toothed tiger.
right, saber-toothed
sure.
tigers.
Yeah.
If you go somewhere and there are alligators, maybe you don't go swimming there again. So we want to remember where the dangers are. And bad things do happen. So
Sure.
with both of those, they're in our head. And sometimes I feel that just the daily gratitude and picking out the good things kind of puts them in their rightful place.
Sure.
They're there, but they're
it's
little.
it's not like you're pretending the bad things aren't there, or you're not like pretending that the bad things didn't happen. You're
Right.
just saying, if I have to choose to focus on something, I'm going to focus on this.
Yes.
When you put it that way, it's pretty simple, isn't it?
When
Right.
we found out our kiddo needed heart surgery, one of the things we found out shortly afterward was if it had been figured out when they were an infant, the surgery would have been like the sternum cracking, and when we found out that it had already changed, and so it was a much easier, like, no breaking bones or anything. We're like, well, that's a good thing to be grateful for. Instead of being upset, because
Right.
we've already been through that, we missed, whatever diagnoses. But there's always something.
Right. Well, thank you. I want to thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you kind of let a few things go here. I mean, this has been a tough run for you, and I want to thank you, and thank you for bringing your gratitude practice here where we can all see it. And can I say that if anybody wants to talk to you about your practice, they're free to.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I love gratitude.
So if, we still have the congregational meeting. Don't be all that way. You still have to come to the congregational meeting. But if you want to talk, and if you haven't friended Beth on Facebook and you want to see her, she can always just ignore your request if she doesn't know who you are. But very good. Thank you, Beth.
you.
I appreciate it. Yes. Help us sing one of my favorite hymns. I just love this hymn, and it's so appropriate for today. Hymn number 311, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say
Now, I have to tell you, I've been affiliated professionally and just as a member with, I think it's 4 or 5 congregations. This is the only congregation where nobody dances during that song. I saw you guys swaying, almost dancing, not dancing. Swaying was close. That's what the aisles are for, folks, is dancing. People think it's for walking in and out. One more verse. One more verse. Sure.
We can do this. We can do this.
And with that, you go from the worst dancing congregation to the best dancing congregation. Now that's what I'm talking about. I don't dance, but I think it's great that you. My friends, each time we come together, we move, and sometimes we really move. We move with the words we hear, we move with the music we hear, we move in the pews, we move in the aisles, and we move with the light of our beautiful symbolic chalice, which, like us, flitters and flutters, moving side to side, and yet is tethered to its root. We extinguish this chalice now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual. We do it because that flittering and that fluttering and that light of our congregation is carried within each of us here present today. For all of our friends joining us on YouTube, and for all of those who are not able to be here today, and those who left this community a long time ago, never to return, and most importantly, for those who have yet to arrive. We are so grateful for your presence this morning. For those of you who have joined us on YouTube, after the postlude, we'll be ending our live stream, but please, I'm sorry, I should have, can they join us at the congregational meeting on Zoom? I'm seeing nodding, yes. Please go to the Zoom page to join us for the congregational meeting. Again, a very important part of what we do here is living out our principles and our principle for a democratic society. So thank you to everybody who joined us online. For everybody here, there's coffee and pizza, weird combination, but there's coffee and pizza in the meeting room, and then you can come back in here. We're not going to do as long a break as we did during the informational meeting because people thought it was too long. I haven't seen Michael yet, but we will start the congregational meeting. 12:30, okay? So let me extinguish the chalice. And may we, in the course of our week to come, feel the liberating freedom that comes from this religious path we share. May our gods welcome us. May they challenge us to live up to our own expectations of ourselves wherever and whatever they are. And may the world around us light up so that we may see the little gratitudes that are there for us to see. Amen. And now we will end our service. Thank you for very much. Amen.